Chapter 1, There Is No One Left. The book starts out with the protagonist, Mary Lennox, when she was living in India. Her father had a position with the English government in India. This book was published in 1911, which was about the time, not far from the time, that Rudyard Kipling wrote The Jungle Book. It is an example of, and has some overtones in this chapter, in chapter 1, of British imperialism, British colonialism, which is something that you see in the book Out of Africa. You see it in several different titles because that was kind of a romantic thing. Frances Hodgson Burnett and Rudyard Kipling did not follow the romantic poets very, very long. William Wordsworth, different romantic poets, and they you see overtones of romanticism in their work. And one of the tenets of romanticism is an appreciation or a love of things that are far away. Frances Hodgson Burnett herself lived in several countries. She was born in England. She had it's easy to think of these authors as because they became famous and actually ended up having estates of their own. But she was not always. She was born with some money. The money was lost. She went she and her father died. She and her mother and her brother or whatever, her family, moved to the USA. She lived in Tennessee, which it became almost impoverished in Tennessee, and then she lived in New York. She lived in Italy for a while. She lived in several different countries, and I think that's sort of something that is not hard to understand for a romanticist. The book, the Thwaite Manor in the Secret Garden, becomes an important image, important theme. Books as themes are important themes in many bits of literature. The Fall of the House of Usher. The House of Usher is a main character in that book. The house in Natalie Babbitt's Tuck Everlasting is important. The house in William Faulkner's A Rose for Emily is important. Houses in much of literature speaks very strongly about the quality or the theme of the book itself or the story itself. And I'll talk about more of that as we go along. But one of the things that we're going to see in this book is early in the book, we see the image of a snake. Okay. Burnett tells us that Mary wasn't terrified of the snake, so that tells us maybe it's not a symbol of evil like the serpent in the Garden of Eden, but I think it does suggest something about the Garden of Eden. The snake is foreshadowing. It suggests something that is yet to come, and the garden is what's yet to come. I just did a video a few minutes ago about my own garden. Okay, I want you to look at this illustration. She's sleeping on a little blanket, and that is, look at the detail in that illustration. that has images of her past in India. It's just a gorgeous, I have that bed myself, almost that very bed myself, because I collect antiques, because I collect all kinds of antiquity, because I myself am trying to hold on to elements of my own past. And I think Frances Hodgson Burnett did the same thing. I think she did things to hold on to her own past, and maybe did some things to try to forget her own past. But let's look for the snake, what is suggested by the snake, and let's more so think over and over again about the image of the garden, because I think the garden, in fact, I'm quite sure that the garden is the most important image or theme in this book. The garden as a healing agent, the garden as a retreat, the garden as a way to get away, the garden as a place to regenerate and start again.